Hey everyone, you know those tricky NCLEX questions about behavioral disorders, the ones that always seem to have two right answers? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to crack the code on disruptive behavioral disorders. I'll give you the patterns, the priorities, and the little memory tricks you need to feel confident. Let's jump right in.
Okay, so to get our brains warmed up, let's start with the classic NCLEX style question.
All right, picture this. You've got a 14-year-old, history of defiance, and he's just been admitted because he physically threatened a teacher. So what is the nurse's initial priority? And you know that word initial is pure gold on the NCLEX. Think about what you do first. We'll circle back to this.
So you might be wondering, why does the NCLEX test this stuff so heavily? Honestly, it's pretty simple. It all comes down to safety. Being able to spot these behaviors means you can predict and hopefully prevent harm. And that's our job, right?
Okay, first big concept you have to get. These are externalizing disorders. Unlike anxiety or depression where a person turns their distress inward, with these disorders, all that distress is pointed outward, at other people, at things, and that is a huge clue for predicting their behavior.
At the very heart of all these disorders is a major problem with impulse control. I mean, think of it like this. It's like the brain's braking system is shot. The person gets an impulse to scream, to hit, to break a rule, and that little voice that should say, hey, bad idea, just isn't there, or it's not loud enough. If you get that one thing, you're already halfway there.
All right, let's get into the big three. You absolutely have to know the difference between ODD, IED, and conduct disorder for your exam. But don't worry, we're going to make it super simple.
This table is your best friend, I'm telling you. It just lays it all out. For ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, your keywords are defiance and arguing. For IED, intermittent explosive disorder, just think explosion. The rage is completely out of proportion to whatever happened. And then there's conduct disorder. This is the most severe. Think cruelty, aggression, and a total disregard for other people's rights. Now here's a really important clinical pearl that the NCLEX loves. Think of these on a spectrum. A kid with ODD, all that defiance and arguing, if that goes untreated, it's a major risk factor for developing the much more serious conduct disorder down the line. Knowing that progression is key.
So a patient with one of these diagnoses lands on your unit. Okay, an alarm bell needs to go off in your head. Before you do anything else, what is your absolute number one non-negotiable priority? I'm going to say it again. Safety is always the priority. This is your mantra. It comes before everything else. Before you chart, before you try to talk them down, you have got to make sure the patient is safe, other patients are safe, and that you and your team are safe, period. And this quote right here, this really explains the why behind the safety risk. This kind of paranoid thinking can be a real part of the picture. If a patient truly believes you're a threat, they might just decide to attack first to protect themselves. That's why we have to be so vigilant.
So what do? Well, here are your action steps. First, you assess the risk, always. Then, you control the environment. That means keeping things calm, turning down the lights and noise, and making sure there's nothing around that could be used as a weapon. And you always have a de-escalation plan ready to go. Okay, let's load up your brain with a couple of tools that'll make this information stick, especially when you're under the pressure of the actual exam. Who doesn't love a good mnemonic, right? For ODD, just remember the word angry. A for argues, N for no accountability, G for grudge holding, R for refuses rules, and Y for yearns to annoy. If you see a question stem describing a kid who's doing a bunch of these things, your brain should just scream ODD. All right, let's run through a quick scenario. You've got a 16-year-old diagnosed with conduct disorder. You tell him phone time is over, and suddenly he's in your face, yelling, and you see him clench his fists. The situation is escalating fast. So what are you gonna do? What is your priority action in this very moment? He's yelling, his fists are clenched. What comes first? Take a second and think. The answer is, without a doubt, number 4, ensure immediate safety. And here's why that's the only right answer. Documentation can wait. Negotiating with him is just going to add fuel to the fire, and trying to have a calm chat about feelings while he's about to swing, nope. When those fists are clenched, safety is the only thing that matters. That is the NCLEX mindset. Okay, let's do a super quick rapid-fire recap to make sure these key points are locked in. Number 1, odd equals defiance and arguments, especially with authority.
Number 2, IED equals those out-of-nowhere, totally disproportionate explosions of rage.
Number 3, conduct disorder is the serious one, cruelty and violating the rights of others. Number 4, and I can't say it enough, your number 1 priority is always safety.
And finally, number 5, your very first move is always to assess for the immediate risk of harm. So there you have it. As you keep on studying, I want you to really think about that last question. Because figuring that out, well, that's the real art of nursing, isn't it? Thanks for watching and good luck on those exams. You've got this.